Hey, what's up, everybody? Naris here with another exciting StarCraft 2 broadcast. Today, I have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, good Sir Cricket?
My name is Cricket. There was my introduction.
Excellent. Well, I feel like we have accomplished a lot so far. Now,
Yes,
we do
indeed.
have a best of three match series between Bulletproof spawning as the yellow Protoss over in the 9 o'clock position. And who's his opponent, Cricket?
Complexities rise as the red Zerg spawning in the 6 o'clock position. We are close air positions, and luckily, no close spawn positions because this is MLG, so it will be fair.
That's right. Now, I feel sorry for this Overlord coming over here because it's going to give away the position right off the bat if he's not careful with it. But the Overlord does have one greater vision than the Nexus, so it's just going to barely scoot past that probe who you saw just went down there. And what do you think we're going to see from the Zerg player today?
Well, Complexities Rise is a very strong macro player. He favors the mutilating Baneling composition. Of course, ZVT is his strongest matchup, but we'll have to see what he has for ZVP. Of course, the most popular thing is that Infestor play. Of
Oh,
course, we see it
yes.
popularized by Destiny. But so I honestly, I just don't know. I haven't seen enough games of Rise, but the possibilities are endless, especially with these positions.
That's very true. Bulletproof is apparently, you said he was Grandmasters?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, yes. So I haven't actually watched much of his playstyle either, but I'm thinking with these spawning positions being what they are, we've already got the one gate going down. I'm thinking we're going to see like a one gate sentry expand, maybe two or three gates thrown on if the Zerg decides to put on some early pressure. We do have the extractor already gone, so we're going to see that fast metabolic boost. Of course, with the probe down there, really not an option to expand just yet, so we'll wait and see what the Zerg player does. Protoss, I think, is he's pretty happy with himself right now. You see that probe just sitting there, so baller, blocking that expansion. The Overlord just like crying, like I can't do anything about it.
I know. He's just all he has is tentacles, and he wishes he could just slap the probe, but they're just not long enough. And so he's just going to sulk and float away in all of his sadness. Of course, the first batch of lings are going to be coming out shortly, and the probe is actually not in position to block that. So that probe's going to get sniped down pretty quick, and we'll probably see Complexities Rise go ahead and take that expansion. Ooh, Bulletproof sneaking by. Is he going to lay down the pylon? There comes the
Ooh.
drone. Oh, and he gets it. He does get the pylon up. Complexities Rise is going to be not too happy about that, but this is pretty typical. You just drone a little bit more and just make sure that you don't waste all the extra money. They finally did clean up that pylon, so there goes the hatch.
Yep, it went down, and actually he let that thing go down to the wire, man. I can't even tell that he canceled that. The health points went down so low. But Bulletproof, okay, he's got the one gate. He's starting to chrono out the sentry, double gas. Everything is looking fine for this. I would like to see an expansion coming from him pretty soon. I don't really feel like the Zerg can do a whole lot at this point. Moving forward into the later stages of the game, I think that certainly Colossi, good possibility. I would like to see some aerial harassment coming from Bulletproof, though. I feel like these spawning positions would lend themselves very well to that style of harassment. There's guaranteed to be at least one or two Overlords littered between these two players' bases that will prove for great targets, not to mention the control that you get by having a Void Ray running around midfield way out of Zerg's influence and just kind of generally being a pain in the rear.
Yeah, and that whole Stargate play was really popularized by MC. So strong because you just don't have enough. Of course, we can see that Rise has taken the drones off gas, so he is in macro mode. He is preparing that expansion. There goes the drone transfer perfectly right when this hatch finishes, and we'll probably actually see a really early third. If he's going to continue this macro style of play, he's probably going to get a few lings out and to scout out, see if it's worth it. If he thinks he can pull it off, those drones are back on gas, so the next 100 probably will go to that layer, laying down a few spines just to be protective. But as of right now, I think both players are just kind of in that mid. They're starting to approach that mid game. They're saying, "All right, I'm getting all the stuff that I need to get. Just need to make sure I do all the proper scouting, dot all of the J's, and then just see how it goes from there."
Yes, indeed. It is critically important to dot every one of your J's in this matchup.
Indeed,
So,
as long as it's lowercase.
yes. Don't dot uppercase J's. That is actually incorrect. There's your spelling lesson for the
Hmm.
day. Spelling? Lettering? Yeah, screw it. I don't know. So let's talk about the Protoss up here for just a second. We've got
Sure.
a couple additional gateways going down here as I try not to laugh at my own retardation, but plenty of sentries. So I feel like in a couple minutes he may be in a decent position to move out and try to assert some map control. He will likely be wanting to go for that watchtower at some point here in the near future with this one Zerglin, poor little Eddie up there guarding by himself, and no third for Ryze just yet. Kind of interesting. It seems to me like if you know that your opponent is tucked in here with a bunch of sentries and one zealot, you may be tempted to take a third because with only a couple additional gateways, the Protoss really doesn't have the ability to project a lot of force. Now with this robotics facility going down, maybe we'll get to see some warp prism usage. I mean, again, they're very close to one another, and it still looks like well, I think we're gonna have an observer coming first, judging by that rally point. Yep, there we go.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and we can see those 5 gates, 6 gates going down. And this might be why Ryze kind of hesitated. He might not have known that it was actually a 1 gate. So might be playing just a little bit on the safer side, realizing that a lot of gates all of a sudden getting made, a lot of pressure can come really fast. Wants to go ahead and make sure that he's prepared for that with the 2 spines up the front. He is spreading creep across where his third and fourth and fifth will hopefully be if the game goes to that length. He does have that Roach Warren, and there's that Warp Prism play. Clutch, you really nailed that there.
Yep,
Warp
there it
Prism
goes.
awesomeness.
It's funny. The Warp Prism is actually a unit that's starting to see a lot more use because, as you may know, patch 1.4, the shields are getting bumped up from 40 to 100, so it's not going to be quite as squishy as you would have it before. Now, something very interesting. We're going to have sentry drops. Now, this will be nice if he can get to the ramp, bring up the forces from the top and then possibly assault from the bottom, although I don't really feel like that's something he's going to be looking to do here, since all he's really got is a whole bunch of stalkers warping in. Man, this is going to be absolutely insane if he's able to pull this off. I feel like once he gets into that little tucked in corner position, he is going to be in such a great spot using the minerals and
Ooh.
gas to his advantage there. Oh, that is just sexy.
Yeah, he's going to deny that spawning pool. The roaches really have to be careful when they come in. They are going to move in. Some really good shields, though, splitting those roaches. Even being behind that mineral patch, those lings virtually useless. So Bulletproof, I think he might come out ahead, but a lot of roaches all of a sudden coming out from Ryze's main, and he is going to get outmassed here. Bulletproof might want to tuck tail and try and ferry over all the remaining stalkers that he can. I only believe 4 can fit, and those 2 lone stalkers. Oh, poor
Oh,
stalkers.
poor guys. I feel like we should do some sort of like in memoriam thing at the end of this video or something, because that is just so depressing. But so far, total units lost. We could see the resources lost. Look at the tab, man. It's pretty
Hmm.
brutal. 600 to 2325. We see the spawning pool was alive. I think only a few drones were taken out. That's about it. So now Ryze is like, okay, well, I just pretty much annihilated a crap ton of your money, several warp-in waves. I'm feeling in a pretty good position to move out, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He's got Weapons 1 already good to go. The coLRyze tech is just starting a moment or two ago. So it's going to be a while before we see that. I would not be surprised if we saw some immortal action. I feel like that'd be a pretty good stopgap measure just to make sure that he is going to be okay, because what he has right now, it's not so hot. Bunch of unupgraded zealots, no charge upgrade, no blink on the stalkers, just all around a little vulnerable right now.
Yeah, that was really incredible how much Ryze didn't lose. And that's kind of one of those clutch things that because he didn't do enough damage, he's in a really bad spot. Ryze has his third up. He's saturating that. He's running off 6 gases right now. Bulletproof, no third in sight. It does look like he has a probe over there ready and waiting to snag it, though. But what's funny, I'm curious what this Warp Prism is doing. He is ready to spawn units in the abyss between the bases. Not quite sure what his plan is, but it could be something that we haven't seen before. I don't know. Complexity's Rise continuing to spread that creep, wants to get it at the front door of Bulletproof as much as he can, but Bulletproof finally getting that armor upgrade. He'll be at 1-1, so little by little, he might be able to climb back into it, but we can already see almost a 50 supply overhead for Rise.
Yeah, this is looking more and more, and there's those infestors, man. That is just going to annihilate what Bulletproof has right now. I mean, big old clump of units right there, just asking for it. They are a little spread out, a couple cannons as well. I think that Warp Prism, getting back to that, I think what its plan is to warp in units on the really low ground, maybe on like the 30th or 40th floor, and then
True.
come in through the roof entrance. and
Yep.
try to basically just access it from there. But we are going to see those roaches come in and try to basically bait out the Protoss, get him away from those cannons, and basically see what kind of fungal targets he can get. Not a lot right now. There is one Colossus. Notice how he does not have the extended thermal lance just yet, though. It's about 40% complete, so that's going to be a very important upgrade that he is going to be lacking with this attack coming from Ryze.
Yeah, and Rise is, he says, all right, you're going to tuck tail in your second, I'll take out your third. Scouting that out just as a precaution and realized, hey, I got some stuff that I can chew on right here. But it does look like BulletProof's army is going to come out in the fray. We're going to see some key fungals go down. There was a small spread, but that Colossus getting sniped out, laying down some infested Terrans. I don't think that Rise is going to get away. Oh, he is. The infested Terrans are going to drive BulletProof's army away. And wow, this is becoming extremely one-sided in a matter of seconds.
That's right. Those infested Terrans really sealed the deal, man. I mean, the Protoss already knew that he was in an inferior position, but having all that additional firepower, infested Terrans are brutal, man. When you get a whole bunch of them like that, it's just, you've got to handle it, you've got to run, which is a pretty common option considering, I mean, really, sitting there trying to fight it and do all that extra damage to the units that are only going to be alive for like 15, 20 seconds anyways, not really that worth it. But we do have a Warp Prism coming over here from BulletProof. Basically, he's looking to try to do the same amount of damage or more to his opponent because he's already behind. We can look at the income tab. We can see 70 to 58. The minerals definitely reflecting that as well as the gas. And with another expansion coming up here for Ryze, I feel like he's going to be in an even better position as we move forward.
Yeah, and BulletProof supply blocked himself, unfortunately. Well, Rise supply blocked BulletProof. Pretty big. It gave him a good 30 seconds of supply block that BulletProof was not able to make a single unit. Now that that has been taken care of, unfortunately that harass didn't do much for BulletProof there, but now finally BulletProof's going to be looking at trying to amass that 200 army. He needs to get it as fast as he can, walling up that third again with more gates and some photon cannons to try and protect it. But Ryze, he smells blood, and he's being very aggressive. He has a good bit of corruptors out. And I don't know if if Ryze is going to give BulletProof the amount of time he needs to get that.
I don't think so either. This attack coming in before Blink, we already have a decent amount of Stalkers, but those Colossi are just going to go down super quick. They do have the extended thermal lance upgrade. It's going to be very careful. I do like that fungal growth, sniping off a lot of those tanking units. Those Zealots are really the only thing in between those Roaches and the Stalker army, which is really just kind of cluttered around the Colossi. You're going to see those fungals go down. And this battle is just not looking good for BulletProof. We see a bunch of infested Terrans. That's going to force the Protoss player back even further, back towards the cannons, towards the warp-in line. And the attack has been thwarted, but for how long, man? For how long?
Yeah, BulletProof is losing so much, and Ryze is in macro mode. He's almost maxed out now that he's on 4 bases. And it's just one of those things where you don't say that BulletProof just, oh, he just lost control. He couldn't handle it. We got to look back to that very first Warp Prism attack. I think that was the thing that has put him in the position where he is now. And now he's just trying to climb back, cling on to something now that the supply is double in favor of Ryze. Of course, it's looking very one-sided, but once again, BulletProof hanging on. He has not lost the fight yet. He has been able to push back everything so far. He's getting that third operational, and if Ryze just calms down a little bit, gives BulletProof a little time, maybe BulletProof can make something out of this.
No, I think you're right. I think he can. I would like to see that Forge going, continuing just basically trying to get these upgrades. He's got to keep up with the Zerg player, who right now is 1-2, compared to the Protoss 1-1. So that's something he's going to watch out for. Also, getting a Void Ray. Now, is he just producing off of 1 Stargate right now? I think he is.
Yeah.
That's going to be something that's going to be a little risky. Yeah, he's dumping his Chrono Boost into that, so that's good. But trying to go toe-to-toe with the Zerg, who already has air very well established, combined with Infestor play, is going to be extremely difficult. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull that off in time. So, like you said a moment or two ago, it's all going to come back to how much time BulletProof is going to have. Now, with these Brood Lords coming in as well, that is going to prove to be even more difficult to deal with. Those Brood Lords can actually do a great job keeping those Stalkers far, far away from everything else, keeping the Colossi firing down at the Broodlings, basically making those shots useless and dealing with the Zerg army proper. So, double upgrades coming for the Zerg player, man. I'll tell you what, I feel more and more like this is just going to go the way of Team Complexity here.
Yeah. Rise is playing this very smart. He's not overcommitting on anything. He's taking what damage he can do and run away. And really, the big thing is he's denied the harass every single time. Every single time that Bulletproof's tried to buy time or put him back in this game, Rise, he's conveniently had his army just about 2 steps away. And so that's really worked in the favor. Call it luck or intuition, but Rise has been on the ball this entire time. He has his choice army of Broodlords, Roaches, and Festers with a few Corruptors. And Bulletproof, he's going to bunch up his ball. He did a small little blink micro there, but we could be looking at the final battle. But Bulletproof's only about 50 supply behind. The Roaches are trying to do what damage they can. A bunch of infested Terrans are going down. One Void Ray caught in the fray that's going to get shot down by the infested Terrans that are actually at 2-2 as well. They do adopt those same upgrades. But Bulletproof's trying to hang on, Anaris. I don't know what's going to happen.
I gotta say, man, I think that this is actually going really crazy-like, because I feel that Rise did a good job using the Roaches to basically do damage to the structures while leaving the Broodlords and Infestors to basically control the Death Ball, make sure it does not basically clump together and become that ultra mega giant robot killing machine that is the Protoss Death Ball. But sitting here now, I mean, I would have to say it's pretty much just over. I mean, you got only a few Colossi here. Not a lot in the way of Warp Gate units. He's not going to have that oomph that he needs to be able to bust through and start doing the damage to the Broodlords. And of course, with all those Roaches here, I mean, that's just pretty much it. I would expect to see a GG here in the very near future.
Yeah, well, and one of the big things is I was taking a good look at the army supply. There's the GG from Bulletproof, and he was actually only 30 behind for majority of that battle. I mean, he was actually destroying Rise's army, but what the problem was the reinforcing ability. Bulletproof didn't have it. He didn't have that fourth up. I guarantee you, if he had actually been able to saturate a fourth and get the production facilities up, I actually think that Bulletproof might have had a shot, because that battle went actually pretty well for Bulletproof. He was taking on a maxed out army, choice army, and he was surviving for quite a long time. It wasn't until Rise started getting some of his reinforcements, maybe a good 1 or 2 fungals that went in Rise's favor, but Bulletproof was holding the fort down. He just didn't have what he needed, and that's kind of been the whole story of this game.
Yeah, I think you're right. Towards the end there, I felt like Rise kind of knew he was in a superior position, and so that's why he worked so hard on busting down the wall here, knocking out these gateways, basically taking out Bulletproof's ability to reinforce that army that he's got right now, and leaving the other forces up there, the Broodlords, the Infestors, to kind of, half deal with the army. And you saw that Bulletproof basically took advantage of that and did a great job holding, but just was not able to reinforce the way that his opponent was, and culminates in, like you said, a GG from Bulletproof. So, let's go on to game number 2, best of 3 series, and let's see what happens next. Again, I'm Anaris.
And I'm Cricket.
Excellent.
Good
Good
game
stuff. Woot!